Red-Faced Confessions Part 1. All 6 spicy truth or dare stories in one place.
I had to passionately kiss a complete stranger in a game of truth or dare. This is my confession. I still remember the night, soft moonlight filtering through the windows, casting long, ethereal shadows across the room. It was just an innocent game, or so we thought. The evening air was thick with anticipation. Our close-knit group of friends huddled together, spinning the antique glass bottle with the naivety of youth. Little did we know how much this harmless game of truth or dare was about to change the course of our lives, starting with mine. "Your turn, Chloe," James smirked, his ocean blue eyes sparkling mischievously. He knew I had a preference for dare. I was never one to back down from a challenge, and tonight was no exception. As the bottle pointed in my direction, a chorus of cheeky smiles and expectant glances fell upon me. "All right," I sighed, feigning reluctance, my heart hammering in my chest. James leaned in, his cologne wafting through the air, a tantalizing blend of cedar and spice that sent a shiver down my spine. He whispered the dare into my ear, his voice a melodic hum that sent waves of electricity coursing through my veins. "Passionately kiss the next person who walks through that door." I could feel the heat rise to my cheeks, the room suddenly too small, too close. James's smirk widened, clearly pleased with my reaction. I stole a glance at the door, the wooden entrance suddenly appearing as daunting as a dragon's lair. Moments that felt like an eternity ticked by, the room hushed in anticipation. Then the old oak door creaked open, and in he walked. Matt. My heart leaped, my stomach flipping with both delight and dread. Matt, thankfully, was not a complete stranger to our group. His oceanic eyes, unruly dark hair, and playful charm had been a source of secret admiration for me. Seeing him unknowingly entering into my dare was thrilling, yet terrifying. "Hi guys," Matt greeted, his warm smile illuminating the room, unaware of the dare hanging in the air. Summoning courage I didn't know I had, I rose, my steps faltering yet determined. A soft murmur rippled through the room, friends exchanging bewildered glances as I made my way towards Matt. "Chloe?" he asked, surprised and confused. I could only smile weakly in response. Without any preamble, I reached up and planted a soft, long, lingering kiss, and gently pushed my tongue between his surprised lips. A chorus of gasps echoed in the room. My heart pounded in my chest like a drum, my senses intoxicated by the sweet taste of his lips. Pulling away, I met his wide-eyed gaze, my face flaming. His expression was a mix of surprise and something else I couldn't quite discern, but it felt thrilling, dangerous, and deliciously addictive. I fled back to my seat, the room erupting in a chorus of cheers and laughter. The rest of the night was a blur, the dare hanging over us like an electrifying storm cloud. That kiss, that dare, it marked the beginning of something intense, something unexpected. From that night, our relationship changed. Subtle glances, lingering touches, and whispers in the dark became our language. It was as if the dare had unveiled a hidden world between us, a world of electrifying feelings and unspoken desires. It was the dare that led us to discover our love, hidden under layers of friendship, waiting to be unearthed. That one truth or dare game that one night changed everything. It marked the start of our secret love story, an exciting, thrilling journey that I never expected to embark on. But oh, was I glad I did. Matt is now my husband, the love of my life and the father of my 3 beautiful children.
As a member of a theatre group, I thought my dare was going to be easy, and I guess in some ways it was, but I didn't expect it to change my life. Every year, our community theatre group took part in a playful tradition, a night of truth or dare to shake off the stage jitters before opening night. On that night, I became the star of a play I hadn't auditioned for, a play that was unscripted and profoundly personal. His name was Liam, the theatre's golden boy. With a voice that could melt hearts and a charm that was impossible to resist, he had a way of lighting up the stage like no other. There was an undeniable magnetism between us, a connection that somehow felt like both a grand overture and a delicate duet. As the bottle spun around, each daring act or confessional truth ramped up the evening's intensity. Nervous laughter echoed through the old theatre walls, building up to my turn. The clinking of the bottle ended with its narrow end pointing at me. A collective "ooh" filled the room as Liam, the orchestrator of the evening, leaned in to deliver my dare. My heart pounded in my chest, my mind dizzy with anticipation. Liam looked me dead in the eye, a mischievous glint in his eyes, a playful smile curling at his lips. "Lena," he said, "you have to perform the most romantic scene you can imagine. With me." I looked at him, my mind momentarily frozen, my heart stuttering in my chest. He was asking me to put on a show, but not just any show. It felt like an invitation to reveal my hidden feelings, to bring to life the scenes I'd imagined in secret. Without missing a beat, I nodded, accepting his challenge. "All right, let's give them a show," I replied, my voice steady despite the butterflies fluttering in my stomach. As we stepped onto the impromptu stage of our dressing room, I felt a rush of adrenaline. This was it, my moment to confess without confessing, to put on a performance that wasn't entirely a performance. I led him to the center of the room, my fingers brushing against his. Under the watchful eyes of our friends, we began our scene. I drew from my feelings, hidden under layers of friendship and professional camaraderie. "Imagine," I began, my voice quivering slightly, "we're at a train station. You're leaving. We don't know when we'll see each other again." With a nod, he played along, his eyes locked on mine, his presence grounding me. "I don't want to go," he said, his voice laden with an emotion that seemed too genuine to be entirely made up. We moved around the room, our lines blurring between fiction and reality. We spoke of longing, of love, of the agony of parting. We expressed feelings that we had never dared to express before. And then, as the climactic end to our scene, I stepped forward, my hands framing his face. "This is the part where we kiss goodbye," I whispered, my eyes fluttering closed as I leaned in. The room around us fell into a hushed silence as our lips met, the air crackling with electricity. It was a soft, lingering kiss, filled with a passion that I had long kept hidden. As I pulled away, I found him looking at me with a wide-eyed realization, a mirror of my own feelings reflected in his gaze. The room erupted into applause, our friends cheering and hooting at the conclusion of our performance. I walked away, my heart pounding and my mind reeling. That night we had laid bare a truth that had been bubbling under the surface for so long. From that evening on, our relationship transformed. We started sharing glances that held a little too much warmth, touches that lingered a little too long. The stage was no longer the only place where we found ourselves playing out romantic scenes. That night of truth or dare had dared us to step into a new act of our lives, one far more exhilarating than any play we'd ever performed. It was our love story, unscripted and full of unexpected twists. But oh, what a beautiful act it turned out to be. Do you want me to read it or just talk from memory?
Awkward teenagers probably shouldn't play truth or dare. I got far more than I bargained for, but exactly what I wanted. In the summer of my 16th year, my friends and I embarked on a week-long camping trip. Amidst the wilderness, beneath the stars, we'd always find ourselves gathered around the crackling fire, indulging in games to pass the time. One night, as the embers glowed against the dark canvas of the sky, someone suggested a game of truth or dare. And as fate would have it, that game, that dare, spun my world into an intoxicating waltz of emotions. Her name was Sophia, a radiant beauty with a laughter that sounded like the sweetest symphony. We'd been close friends, sharing a bond that teetered on the edge of something more, but had never quite taken the plunge. When it was my turn, a rush of adrenaline shot through my veins. With the fire casting dancing shadows on their eager faces, my friends awaited my choice. Emboldened by the situation, I opted for dare, sending a wave of excitement through our small crowd. Patrick, a mischief maker with a knack for conjuring up audacious dares, was the one to set my challenge. He looked at me, a devilish grin splitting his face, and announced, "Dance, a slow romantic dance with Sophia, right here, right now." I felt a surge of heat rise to my cheeks, my heart pounding like a tribal drum against my ribs. A dance with Sophia. This was more than just a dare, it was an unspoken confession, a step towards the threshold of uncharted territory. Sophia, seated across the fire, met my gaze. There was a spark in her eyes, a spark of anticipation, curiosity, maybe even excitement. A silent agreement passed between us, and with a nod, she rose and walked towards me. The makeshift dance floor was nothing more than a patch of soft grass under a dome of twinkling stars. As I took Sophia into my arms, the air around us seemed to thicken with unspoken words and buried feelings. Her hand was warm in mine, her body swaying gently against the soft strumming of a guitar. As we moved together, it felt as if the world had shrunk to encompass just the two of us, our friends' laughter and teasing fading into the background. We danced, each step bringing us closer, each beat echoing our rapidly beating teenage hearts. My hand nervously found its place on her waist, her head resting lightly against my shoulder. This dance was nothing like I'd ever experienced, a wordless conversation, a slow revelation of feelings long concealed. As the melody lulled, our dance slowed, our bodies swaying to a rhythm all their own. I could feel her breath against my neck, sending shivers down my spine. In that moment, under the soft glow of the moon, we were more than just friends sharing a dare. We were potential lovers, caught in an intimate waltz. The song ended, and we pulled apart, our eyes locking in a silent confession. The applause and laughter from our friends snapped us out of our bubble, but that dance, that dare, had irrevocably changed the dynamics between us. From that night, our bond deepened, a newfound intimacy seeping into our friendship. Subtle touches, lingering glances, and hushed conversations by the fireside became our secret language. That game of truth or dare had dared me grow up, to confront my feelings, to step into the dance of desire and intimacy. It had marked the beginning of a love story, one penned under the starlit skies and around the warmth of a campfire. The dance might have ended, but our story, our passionate waltz, was only just beginning.
I still can't really believe, even after 20 years of marriage, that Rebecca, an innocent in all this, actually agreed to take part in this dare. The atmosphere was electric. A typical Friday night transformed into something much more exciting as our group of friends gathered for a night of truth or dare. This game, a weekend ritual amongst us, was known for its funny truths and wild dares. But on this particular night, things took an unexpected turn when the bottle spun to a stop, pointing at me. be handcuffed to the next person who walks through the door for the rest of the evening, my best friend Chris declared with a mischievous glint in his eyes. Laughter echoed around the room as everyone imagined the potential comedy of the situation, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. The door swung open just as the laughter was dying down. All eyes turned, and there she was, Rebecca. She was a newcomer to our group, and as both luck and fate would have it, she was also game for a laugh and bizarrely agreed to also be handcuffed. Her emerald green eyes met mine, a spark of surprise flashing across them before being replaced by a playful smirk. My heart pounded in my chest. I had no idea how much that dare would change the course of the night, and possibly my life. The click of the handcuffs fastening around our wrists was strangely poetic. It signified more than just a physical restraint. It was the unexpected commencement of an unusual journey of intimacy and connection. Every task we undertook became a dance of cooperation and patience. Pouring drinks, engaging in conversation, the simple act of walking through the crowded room, and of course the call of nature, which added another level of intimacy and embarrassment to this ridiculous dare. As the evening slipped into the early hours of the morning, the enforced proximity began to weave its magic. There were bouts of laughter, muffled apologies after accidental bumps, and the shared triumph of navigating through the party without tripping over each other. Rebecca's wit and warmth started unraveling the shroud of mystery around her, drawing me in, piquing my curiosity. With the ticking clock, our connection deepened. Frustration gave way to anticipation, and annoyance transformed into fascination. Underneath the throbbing music, the animated chatter, and the clinking glasses, a separate universe seemed to exist for us. The physical constraint of the handcuff created an emotional bond that neither of us had anticipated. Moments of silence were filled with unsaid words and quiet understanding. Our exchanges were punctuated with lingering glances and soft smiles. The dare, initially thought of as a light-hearted joke, was molding into a surprisingly beautiful experience, a burgeoning connection that transcended the physical restraints and ventured into the realm of deeper understanding and shared experiences. As the party started to wind down, a strange reluctance gripped us. Our confinement was about to end, yet an unsaid desire wished to prolong it. As the handcuffs finally clicked open, our freed hands lingered. Her fingers softly brushed against mine, sparking a jolt of electricity between us. A silent agreement was formed. The dare might be over, but our journey had just begun. The universe, it seemed, had its unique ways of pushing us out of our comfort zones. It showed us that sometimes it took being literally bound to someone to understand the metaphorical ties that connect us. I would never forget this truth or dare game. A dare that transpired into an unforgettable exploration of intimacy. A night where I discovered a connection I wasn't seeking but was glad to have found. This was more than a dare. It was a dance of desire and connection. A night where we were truly bound by a dare.
Years have gone by since this game of truth or dare. And even today, my husband still does not know the origins of my love of sometimes wearing a blindfold when we make love. It was in the grandeur of a Venetian masquerade ball, where a daring encounter spun my life into a sensual tapestry of mystery and desire. Lured by the enigmatic charm of Venice, I'd flown across the Atlantic to attend the renowned Masquerade Ball, a night of intrigue, enchantment, and elegant anonymity. Amidst the dazzling array of gowns, glimmering masks, and golden chandeliers, I was a stranger amidst strangers. As the night aged, the anticipation for the evening's truth or dare ritual, A tradition of this illustrious event loomed in the air. As the giant clock struck midnight, a silver goblet was passed around, filled with folded slips of paper, each containing a dare devised by the hosts themselves. The goblet was handed to me, my heart pounding against my ribs as I plucked a slip from the swirling sea of dares. I unfolded it, my eyes scanning the words inscribed in elegant, swirly script. Steal a kiss from a stranger of your choice. The room fell into silence, then erupted into excited whispers. My mind reeled, a whirlwind of confusion and exhilaration. I had the freedom to choose anyone in the room, hidden behind their masks, their identities a secret. Among the sea of masked faces, my eyes landed on a figure dressed in an elaborate black suit, his mask adorned with an intricate design of silver and sapphire. There was a magnetic pull, an inexplicable allure that had me captivated. With a deep breath, I gathered my courage and began to navigate through the crowd, my heart pounding like a wild drum. As I neared him, I noticed the amused twinkle in his eyes, as if he was already aware of the dare I had been given. Summoning all my boldness, I reached up, our eyes locking over the edge of our masks. The world around us seemed to blur, the murmurs of the crowd fading into oblivion. "My dare," I began, my voice barely above a whisper, "is to steal a kiss from a stranger. Would you mind being that stranger?" A slow, mysterious smile spread across his lips as he nodded in agreement, taking a step closer. He was much taller than me, his presence commanding yet gentle. With a deep breath, I rose onto my tiptoes, my hands resting lightly on his chest. With the thrill of anonymity giving me a strange excitement and courage, I pressed my lips onto his masked ones, the world spinning around me. The kiss was brief, a fleeting connection between two masked strangers in a room full of prying eyes. But within those few seconds, a bolt of electricity shot through me, the world blurring into a dizzying swirl of colors and sensations. As I pulled away, a collective cheer erupted around us, the room buzzing with excitement. He offered a charming smile, the glint in his eyes reflecting amusement and a hint of intrigue. I thanked him and turned away, my heart fluttering in my chest like a caged bird. The rest of the night was a whirlwind, a blend of music, laughter, and clandestine glances exchanged with the handsome stranger. The encounter, the daring kiss, added a delicious layer of thrill to the night, a secret memory etched into the canvas of my heart. The dare had not only been a thrilling escapade, but a catalyst, igniting a spark of boldness within me. It was a daring waltz on the dance floor of intimacy and thrill, a night I'd forever remember as a tale of masks, mystery, and a stolen kiss. That game of truth or dare, held within the grandeur of a Venetian ballroom, had dared me to step out of my comfort zone, to embrace the thrill of the unknown, and dive into a fleeting moment of desire. It was the highlight of my Venetian adventure, a daring confession cloaked in mystery and intrigue, etched forever into my memory. I never did find out his true identity, but I think I found my own identity that night.
It is often said that early exposure to kinks can embed them into your fantasies for life. For me, this simple game of truth or dare game in my early 20s was the catalyst for my love of exhibitionism. The story I'm about to recount transpired during one boisterous summer night at a friend's beach house, the kind of evening that starts with the pop of a champagne cork and concludes under a twinkling canopy of stars. Basking in the warm glow of a bonfire, my friends and I decided to shake things up with a round of truth or dare. As the evening wore on, the alcohol continued to flow, and the dares, perhaps emboldened by the intoxicating cocktail of alcohol and salty sea air, became increasingly audacious. When it was my turn, a buzz humming pleasantly in my veins, I chose dare without hesitation. My friend Mia, notorious for her outlandish ideas, promptly delivered the challenge. "I dare you," she began, her eyes sparkling with mischief, "to strip down to your underwear and perform a seductive dance on that wooden picnic table with the ocean and us as your audience." A wave of laughter crashed through our group. Me dance? Seductively? I was more known for my work as a software engineer than for any dancing prowess, but the thought was exhilarating, tantalizingly so. With a shaky breath and a determination fueled by the bubbling champagne in my system, I sauntered towards the picnic table. The spotlight of the moon shone down on me, and the endless expanse of the ocean stretched out before me. An unconventional stage for an unconventional performance. With the opening beats of a sultry tune playing from someone's Bluetooth speaker, I started to move. The rhythm coursed through my veins, echoing in the thumping of my heart. My body swayed and twirled, my movements surprisingly graceful for someone with a severe lack of rhythm or ability. The initial giggles and cheers from my friends faded, replaced by an awed silence. My hips swayed, my arms moved with an elegant fluidity, and my body undulated in sync with the music. The ocean roared its approval in crashing waves as I slowly and sensually removed everything apart from my knickers, and the stars twinkled their encouragement from above. Never before had I felt so free, so uninhibited and sexy. I was no longer the shy, reserved girl hiding behind her laptop. I was a temptress, my movements enchanting and enticing, my audience captivated. Luckily, the final notes of the song faded before I had a chance to remove my last item of clothing. As the music stopped, I struck a dramatic pose, my heart pounding with exhilaration. The silence of the night was punctuated by the roaring applause of my friends, their cheers echoing louder than the crashing waves. That daring dance was a revelation, a moment that broke down walls I had unknowingly built around myself. It wasn't just a dare, it was an awakening, a cathartic release of a side of me I didn't even know existed. After that night, I felt an undeniable shift in myself. I was no longer confined to the rigid structures of my daily life. I had tasted the sweetness of liberation, of uninhibited expression, and I craved more. That game of truth or dare had dared me to shed my inhibitions, to dance to my own rhythm, to embrace a side of me that was bold, exciting and seductive. It was a dance of liberation, a captivating confession of a night when I dared to step into the spotlight and unveiled the temptress within me, and to this day I have remained a lifelong exhibitionist.
Thank you for listening to 6 Spicy Truth or Dare Stories, Red-Faced Confessions Part 1. If you like these stories, please make sure you subscribe to the Romance Diaries on YouTube to hear more stories like these.